Happy Thursday, my lovely women of this awesome Facebook group. I'm so glad you're here. I'm not going to chat long because I cannot wait for you to meet Denise Cornell. She has done some amazing things for me that I get excited about posting about on Instagram about my ideal client because I can connect better with her. And she understands that I get her and that I care for her and about her business. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Denise, who's helped me with this messaging and it made things easier for me to show up. I believe that she can add so much value to your network marketing business to be able to not only recruit more team members, but to sell more products. So let's welcome Denise. Here she is. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here and doing this, Denise. I am so happy that you're here. How are you doing in Austin right now?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yes. And Linda says she was hoping that she would be here because Linda's the one that connected us. She's been connecting me with so many amazing women. And I'm really excited about this. So let's talk about why this ideal client research is important for our business.
Sure. And, you know, for everyone in the audience, I'll share with you what I shared with Vanessa before we went live, which is I love to talk about this. So I am just going to try to fit in as much as I possibly can about ideal customer discovery, and we'll go from there. And let's start with Vanessa's question, which is, why is this important? And I think that the easiest way for me to say it in the most plain terms is, how can you sell anything if you don't know who you're selling to? And that's really what ideal customer discovery, ideal customer research comes down to, which is, let's find out who you're selling to and why they want what you are selling. And, you know, it's real easy for people to say, oh, well, I sell skincare, and so anybody who has skin is a customer of mine. No, not really. That's not true at all. You want to get really specific about who your ideal customer is. Yes, everyone with skin can use your products, but not everyone is most likely to buy from you. So we want to get to the people who are most likely to buy for you, the people who really want exactly what you're selling. And so that is, at the most basic level, is what ideal customer discovery is about. And, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, even before I called it ideal customer discovery. And no matter what industry I've been in, so I've spent 20 years, over 20 years really, in tech startups, in online marketing, as an employee, as a consultant, as a co-founder, and as a solopreneur. And no matter what the industry, what the product, or the budget, the one thing that was critical to the bottom line is how well you know your customer. And if you want to sell more, then developing a deep understanding of your customers is critical. And that's what we do with ideal customer discovery. I like to use this little analogy that some of you may be familiar with. You know that kid's book, Are You My Mother? You know, it's like this little bird hatches, but his mom's not in the nest when he hatches, so he sets out to find her. But the problem is he doesn't know what his mother looks like. And so he asks everybody that he encounters, first a kitten, then a hen, then a cow. He asks everyone, are you my mother? Now, eventually he finds her, but you know, I think that not knowing your ideal customer is kind of like that little baby bird of you're walking around asking everyone you meet, are you my customer? Are you my customer? And I don't know about you, but I don't have the time or the money to be doing that. And so ideal customer research is this focusing agent for your business. It tells you who you're selling to, why they care, and why they want to buy from you. It tells you and shows you where your sales and marketing efforts should be, that you should be laser focused on this one person, and then you can basically ignore the rest of the people. Okay, so that's my first little spiel on what ideal customer is and why it's important. Vanessa, I'll let you jump in if you want to point me in a specific direction. Otherwise, I can just keep on going.
Yeah, so that I love that story about like, are you my mother? Because it's so true. Who wants to spend all that time and energy asking everyone if they're going to be that type of, if they're their client or you know. So tell me, in your experience, when people like, what is the before and after that of the people that didn't do their research and then they came to you and they worked with you? How did that impact their business?
Sure. So it's a great question. Of course, it varies depending on where people are in their business, what stage they're in. So maybe I'll go through a couple different stages. I will admit that it is difficult if you are in the absolutely beginning stage of your business and you haven't sold anything yet, or you've sold just a little bit. It's real hard to do thorough ideal customer research, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. What you should be doing at that stage is looking around at what other people are doing, and that could be within your industry or outside of your industry. Look at the people who you think their client base is similar to what your client base is. So you can start looking at what's going on out in the world around you. You can start looking at where your ideal clients might be. And then that starts getting you a pretty good idea, and you can start trying some things. And so once you start trying some things, and when I say trying things, I mean like you're thinking about who is this person and why do they want what I'm selling? What kind of conversation can I have with them? And really, that's the core of this. Marketing is about a connection with another person. And I think at the core of that connection is being able to have a conversation with a person, knowing what's important to them, knowing what their likes and dislikes are, knowing the language that they're using that they will immediately recognize. So you can start doing that. And once you start having this idea of who your ideal customer is, then you start selling product, then you can really start digging into ideal customer. And this is when I get a lot of folks who come to me and says, okay, I think I know who my ideal customer is. I'm trying everything that I know to try, but it's only sort of working. It's not really working. And so this is a great spot to dig in. We can dig into, okay, let's get really specific about what you've learned so far from selling your product. What are your customers actually saying? And then we can extract from that this sort of high level view of what you have, what your customer wants, and where those two things intersect. And so the biggest, I would say, high level outcome of someone at that stage is they can see an immediate shift in their marketing. And what I mean by that is it's no longer the struggle that it was before. They now understand who their customer is. So they know what to say to them and how to say it. And it doesn't feel like you're always just making this up. It's not just some shot in the dark. You really understand how to connect with that person. And when you start doing that, when you start putting that out into the world, then people are attracted to that, and then you're getting people's attention. And really, I mean, that's the holy grail of marketing, right? Is to get someone's attention and then to keep it. And so I think that is one of the results across the board, no matter what stage you are in your business, that suddenly this thing that we call marketing or sales becomes easier because you know exactly who you're talking to and how to talk to that person, instead of going around just shouting some general message to everyone hoping someone will listen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And question, I know that a lot of people tend to, when we're going through my courses, this is one of the first things that we do as part of their foundation And I get some resistance around it saying, well, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I don't want to only sell to that person. And I know you've answered this in a way, but I kind of want you to answer it directly, if you will. Like, this is, not going to pigeonhole you. Or can you kind of talk to that point of people afraid of that?
Sure. And I mean, this is hard, and I get it. People are afraid that if they make the pie smaller, then there's not as much for them. So let's make that pie as big as possible. And I think it's just the opposite. So if you are standing in this really big pie and you're standing in the center and you are shouting your message, but only 10 people out of that big pie want what you're talking about, then it's really hard to get their attention because there's so much noise around you. And you have how do I want to say this? You have made your message so general, so bland, so vanilla, because you're trying to hit everyone, that even the people who really want what you're talking about aren't sure if what you're selling is really what they want, because you're being so general. I don't know if that was clear at all or not, but I'm going to continue with that analogy. So let's imagine now that you said, you know what, I'm not going to talk to everybody. Instead of this really general message that it's kind of like talking to nobody, I'm going to get really specific, and I'm going to talk really specifically to one person. So what that does now is, when your ideal customer hears that, they can immediately identify, oh my gosh, she's talking to me. That's me. I want that. Instead of, I think that's for me, but I'm not sure. So it's that difference between being very general, very vanilla, or being really, really specific. The really general, really vanilla message leaves people, they can leave it, take it or leave it. Whereas the really specific message is kind of like a bat signal to your ideal customer. They know immediately that they want what you're selling. Does that help?
Yes. And I have a quick story. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was dropping my son off at school, and this lady that's always there, she stands in the front and she said hi. And I happened to be walking next to someone that I don't know. And I honestly don't know that lady. I don't know the person next to me. And she just kind of looked in our area and was like, hey, how are you doing? Or she said something like hi or whatever. And I thought about this. Like, I was like, I don't know you, and I don't know if you're talking to me. And I was like, are you talking to me? You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like, I don't know who your messaging is for. You just kind of said hi in my direction, and you weren't like, hi, Vanessa, or hi, you know what I mean? And so I thought about that, how it relates so much to ICA research and who you're talking to. Is like, you definitely need to be specific, because you're going to be like that other person. People are gonna be like, wait, are you talking to me? Because there's someone else right here too. Does that make sense? I thought it was like so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part of that I think is so important, I also think this is one of those things that is sort of a myth about ideal customer discovery. And it's something that a lot of people get wrong. And that is, what does it mean to be specific? So what does it mean to be really specific about who your ideal customer is? I think there is this misunderstanding that we need to know everything that there is to know about our ideal customer, everything about their lifestyle, like, what's her age, what does she drive, what's her favorite TV show, all those sorts of things. And I'll say, maybe you need to know those things. Yes, they're specific, but the real key question is, are those things relevant to your product or service? So knowing your customer's lifestyle may give you a feel for your customer, and maybe it's important for your product, or maybe it's not. So what you want to ask is, what about my ideal customer is relevant to my product or service? So for example, Vanessa, you and I have worked together. No offense, I love that you are a mom, and that's an important part of your family. or important part of your life. But for the work that I do with ideal customer research, it doesn't matter to me that you're a mom, and it doesn't matter to me what kind of car you drive. Those things are not relevant to the work that I do. What is relevant is that you're doing your own business, and that you are doing your own marketing and sales, and that you are driving this business forward and in wanting to grow this business in a way that connects with your customer. So you're not trying to just sell as many widgets as possible, no matter the cost, meaning no matter what you have to do to sell them. You actually were wanting to make a connection with your audience and grow your business through that connection. That's what's important to me for my ideal customer. So it doesn't matter to me those other things. And I think it is so easy to get caught up in those lifestyle demographics. And if they're important, great. I want you to take a deep dive on those. But if they're not relevant to your product or service, don't waste your time trying to figure those things out. Let's dig into what's actually relevant to your product or service. I think that's probably the most critical part of ideal customer discovery.
So I don't know if I told you this story, but I had some hold up on actually doing the research. And then once I finally did it, when I came to you, like I had a lot of stuff to present to you because I had been working on it for several months. And I know what my hold up is from that, but like, what do you think is a block that people don't end up doing this? Like they know they need to do it, but like, what do you think is blocking them from actually doing the work of ideal client research?
I think there are a couple of things. I think one is people feel like, hey, I've already done that. You know, I did that one-page worksheet that I found free online. And I did it, and I didn't, like, so what? Like, yeah, I did it, and I had some insight into my customer, but what good was that? And I think that is probably the biggest, not I think, I know that is the biggest question I get from prospects is, I know that I should be doing ideal customer discovery, but I don't really understand how it's going to impact my business. I don't know what I'm going to do with that information after I get it. And so, you know, for me personally as a business owner, I might think something is important, but if I can't see how I'm going to implement that in my business immediately, then I'm going to keep putting it off. And I think that's what happens with ideal customer research, is that it just keeps getting shoved to the back burner. And what I'd say is, what I'm trying to help people understand is the power of that ideal customer. It really, or that ideal customer research, it really becomes this focusing agent for your business. It allows you to say, you know what? All of those other 10 things don't matter because I know exactly who I'm selling to, and I know exactly why this is important to that person. And I'm going to focus on that, not in some like sleazy manipulative way, but in a way that says, I know how to connect with this person and everything else doesn't matter. This is where I'm going to focus. This is how I'm going to move forward in my business. And then to see the ripple effects of that. If I can say the right words, because I know who I'm talking to and why they care, if I can say the right words, then it's more easy for me to get their attention. They are immediately identifying as my customer. It makes sales a whole lot easier because I've already had this connection with someone. My marketing is making a connection with someone, and then sales becomes sort of a, you know, just a, like the transaction that happens at the end because you have done the really smart marketing up front. So it's a very long, sort of complicated answer to blocks to ideal customer, I think, are because people don't understand how they get implemented. And so one of the things I do with my customers is to help them understand, now, how do you take this information and go plug it into your business? And Vanessa, I didn't ask your permission before this, so feel free to tell me, don't talk about this. But I have already noticed that the things that we did together are already showing up in your marketing. And like, that just thrills me to no end. So it looks like, I mean, it doesn't look like, I know that you've already gotten that part and you are already implementing that. And that happened really quickly for you. Is that right?
Yes, it's so exciting because when we were talking, I say this all the time, like I'm like a doctor and I can only speak medical terms, and you help me have better bedside manner. So thank you so much. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. And it makes it so much easier because I go to the document that you created for me, and then I pick some words out because you did a really good job of explaining to me how my ideal client, how she feels, of like the things that I could not pinpoint, but I knew it. I just couldn't use her words. And yes, it's been so much easier where I can just grab that and then, customize it and then post it and add my little hook and everything else to it. So I love that I have that. I just actually used it today in my Instagram post. And so I have a question about, well, you know that I work with network marketers, obviously, because you did my ideal client research. In one of the programs that we're currently doing, I had them do the ideal client research of like who they want to sell to and align it with their expertise and passion. So energetically, they can show up for their prospect without feeling drained and just be excited about it. And one of the questions that came up was, do I have a different ICA for my sales, for my customers versus my recruits? And honestly, I feel that there's no really way to find out unless you're doing complete, like, different marketing messages, which I think would be extremely draining. And so what I've been teaching is that let's start with finding those clients and then looking for those buying signals of like, let me put them into the container of that I'm going to approach them later with the business opportunity. So do you have any tips on how someone could use the ideal client research for sales, but then also be able to see those like buying or, like the signals that they can possibly be a team builder?
Sure. And I think the most important thing there is to ask yourself, because this always has to start with what you're selling and what you're offering. And so in this case, it's not necessarily selling as much as it is recruiting. And so I would say you need to first ask yourself, what are the characteristics or the personality traits that mesh with who I am and the people that I want on my team, the people that I want to recruit. So what does my ideal recruit look like? And build just a little bit of a profile around that. And this is something that is, probably always changing as you're learning. These are the people who are doing really well on my team. These are the people that I work really well with. And so that can be like a little mini ideal customer profile of, here are the things that I'm looking for. And then you can start sort of connecting the dots there. So does that help? Does that answer your question? I mean, I think it does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like I was telling them, you don't have to recreate a whole new thing.
No. Right, because, and the other thing too, is if this person is your ideal customer from a sales perspective, plus they happen to have the personality traits, the characteristics, whatever it is that you're looking for as to be someone's part of your team, how do I want to say this? Well, they've already bought into how you're selling and how you're marketing the product. So like, they already are the person that they now are going to sell to in so many ways. So there's this automatic alignment. Like if they're already being attracted to what you're doing, then that part's already done for you. Now it's about looking across your team and saying, here are the key characteristics that I see in common across my team, and that's what I'm going to recruit on.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so let's bring it home. For those that want to connect with you and do some one-on-one with you, or what kind of offers do you have for this Facebook group?
Sure. Okay. So a couple things. There are two ways to work with me. One is I do a workshop. That is a really small group interactive workshop. It is less than 10 people. And this is a combination of I teach and you do the work, and I'm right there with you as you're doing the work, reviewing and offering advice. My next workshop will be probably early summer, and they can find a wait list on my website, which is denisecornell.com. You can get yourself on the wait list for the workshop. I also do one-on-one work, which is what I've done with Vanessa, and that is a deep dive into your ideal customer. And then what I deliver to you is, done for you, your ideal customer profile, which usually ends up being about 8 to 10 pages. And that's a combination of who you're selling to, why they care about what you're selling, why they're picking you over someone else, or why you versus just sticking with the status quo of doing nothing. And then there's also this entire messaging framework that comes with that. That's one-on-one. And again, you can reach out to me at denisecornell.com. And for everybody in the group, I also have a free worksheet that I've included for your folks here. And there's no substitute for that real deep dive into your ideal customer, but you can get started today. I mean, like the best time to do it was, the day you started. The next best time to do it is today. And that's easy to do. I've made a worksheet that folks can download, and I think you have the link to that. It's denisecornell.com/hints. And this worksheet is meant to really get you thinking in terms of your customer instead of in terms of your product. So easy ways that you can start today of shifting that marketing message to lead with your customer instead of leading with the nitty-gritty details of your product. And leading with your customer is how you start making that connection with them, which is what is so critical to growing your business. So those are the three ways.
Thank you so much. Okay, I put it in the comments. It's denisecornell.com/hints, right?
NTS, hints. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate the work that we've done together. It's been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
All right, hold on tight. All right, ladies, I hope you enjoy that. I trust that you enjoy that because Denise is a badass. She has done wonders for my business, and I know that she could do wonders for you. So make sure that you check her out. And if you want to give her a test drive, then go ahead and download that freebie she has to offer you, denisecornell.com/hints. See you